Hello, hello, and welcome to Romancing the Stones Dance Party Middle School Webcam League. My name is Robert. I am joining the booth with Lorian. How's it going, Lorian?
Hey, good. Always a pleasure to be here.
It is, isn't it? It's a wonderful day for middle school. More middle school in this league. I'm excited for both these players. How about you?
Yeah, excited to see this matchup. Um, Paul on the left here is on a pretty classic standstill list, Landstill, blue-white,
Yep.
and weren't able to get Patrick's list in time, but I'm pretty sure he's on red-black goblins. So this should be a
Ooh,
classic aggro versus control
this
matchup.
yeah, this doesn't get much more classic than that. Well, that's exciting. So Paul's was on our stream week 1, and Patrick, no stranger to the Stones leagues, has been on stream before. Both players have picked up a win and a loss, so they're both at 1-1. Trying to keep the winning streak alive to make our top 8. I think X1 is locked, but I think X2 gets real dicey real fast.
So it's 6 rounds, is that right? This league is
6 rounds, yes.
with about 50 players.
Just shy of 50, I think. I think we're at like 48, 49. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 3-0, so my league is going very well right now. I'm hoping to get the win next round because I think once you're 4-0, you're kind of locked. Like
Sure.
even if you get 2 losses, your tiebreakers are pretty solid at that point. So
Yeah, it gets difficult. Well, good luck to that. I took up a loss in the first round, and I'm now 2-1 as of this week. So hoping to make another top 8, but. Looks like Paul is on the play here, and he's going to go ahead and start off with a Fairy Conclave, and the game is afoot.
here we go.
Yeah.
Let's see if Paul has the force will. Patrick casts a goblin.
He does not have the Force of Will. Let's see if he's got a Plains and Sword to Plowshares.
Yeah.
That blocks. Okay. All right.
It.
All right, sure. So
Incinerator isn't going to get Patrick here.
no.
He could trade. He could Incinerator and Lackey to kill the factory. That's a play.
The Wasteland.
Oh, Wasteland. Okay, there you go.
Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna start off with the top land. Patrick's response with the Mountain Lackey, already asking the hard questions. Paul tries to answer with the Mishra's Factory, and Patrick says, "Nope, not good enough with the Wasteland." And now we get to see Paul drop down to 19.
Commander. There's no way that he has a Siege King commander and he's thinking about it this hard here. He would just slam it.
Maybe he has 2 different arts and he's trying to figure out the best one. No, okay. We have the War Chief.
Oh, that's a big misplay.
That's not what that card does. Right? That's
Here, let's see if I can.
That's not the. Hold on.
Patrick, you you put a War Chief into play, not a Ringleader.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, figured it out. Meant to do the Ringleader. Yeah.
So he has the Ringleader. Okay.
That would have been very awkward if he didn't have the Ringleader.
That would have been very awkward. I'm sure he even said Ringleader too, and Paul's like, "Yeah, sure." All right. So in that shuffle, I didn't see what goblins he picked up there, but we do know he's got the War Chief in hand. Conceivably, we have another 1-1. So we're going to battle in here. Paul on double blue, no ability to interact here with this lackey. Patrick getting to go shopping again. What do we have in hand to put in play?
So Patrick doesn't have Pile Driver here, I would guess, or he would have played it before combat. That or he's trying to do something with his 2 mana afterwards. If he has a Rishadan Port here, that's going to be... Nope, doesn't have Rishadan Port.
No, I think we just have the 1 land. I think we were just on Lackey. Turn 1, Lackey go. Or we had the Wasteland, so we, that was our second land. But, all right, so Paul's path to getting out of this is Powder Keg. Okay, that is going to help. But the damage wave already been done.
Isn't nearly as bad as it could be. Like I said, a Siege King commander or a Pile Driver is pretty backbreaking.
Sure.
But just a bunch of 1/1s. Oh, there we go.
Here's the Pile Driver. Okay.
So Paul pretty much has to have an answer here. Yep.
Okay, we have the force.
Now he has the force.
All right. So it's not complete lights out for Paul yet.
And I like that play by Pat. He obviously could have gotten the pile driver in off the lackey trigger, but that pile driver represented so much damage.
Yeah, and I like the War Chief instead, simply because it's going to allow us to, it basically is a land, because we get to, which we're already light on, so I think that's fine. Lackey Trigger is going to get a conveniently 3 CMC Goblin, which is going to allow us to tutor up a Goblin that is going to dodge this Powder Keg, so Powder Keg is going to be helpful, but I don't think it's enough right now. It's...
No, Pat has 5 damage on board with the 3 CMCs and +2 from the Fanatics that he can sack. So he's still got lethal on board at this point, even if Paul cracks the Powder Keg for 1 next turn.
And without a white mana in the play, we don't have Wrath as an out. So I think that might be... I don't think even White Source and Sword to Plowshares is good enough here.
Well, he can jump with the Fairy Conclave, which feels terrible, but it does keep him from dying.
Kind of. I mean, it does. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yes, we could trade, but what Patrick could play any number of other things, Okay, so here we go. We've got a pile driver, so that takes chumping out of here.
Right. Paul can counter with like a counter spell. Yeah. It's
Impulse.
It's over. This has stopped Paul from being able to...
All right. Well,
yeah, it's it.
Writing is on the wall. Patrick very quickly does not need a second mana source and says, this lackey is good enough. He takes that game quickly.
Yeah. So Paul was on the play there, and he had a turn 1 conclave, and he pitched a standstill to force.
Yeah.
So that makes me think he probably had it in his opener. He was like, there aren't actually that many plays that will get me turn 1. I'm probably fine. But that's what Lackey's all about. He even had a line of defense with the Mishra's Factory, but specifically Wasteland just completely dismantled his control plan. Yeah,
and I mean, it's interesting because we've seen Lackey a number of times on stream, and it very quickly dies. It comes into play, gets countered, dies, or gets countered on the stack. And we haven't gotten a chance to really see it run away with the game like we have in that last game. So that was, textbook, what happens if you can't interact with Lackey? I mean, how many spells did Patrick actually cast? 3?
Force of Will, Impulse, which...
Well, not Paul, but Patrick. Like, how many goblins?
Oh, Patrick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he cast the Lackey and then maybe 2 more goblins after that mattered?
Cast a Fanatic. Yeah, I think he maybe cast both the Fanatics.
Okay.
So, which are like the least relevant goblins. Yeah. Like, you play the Fanatics because they're goblins, but they're the least relevant goblins in your deck, unless you're playing against like a mirror or aggro matchup.
Right. Well, okay. So what kind of cards is Paul looking for in this matchup that he has access to?
Yeah, obviously, Swords is very good.
Sure.
Humility, humility is pretty solid. You still got to clean up the 1/1s, but that's way easier when Goblin Sharpshooter isn't online. You can just cycle a Decree of Justice to kind of clean up.
Sure.
But yeah, he's got a couple Blue Blasts, couple COP Reds, so kind of splitting the difference there.
Okay. Any copies of Moat?
No.
Ooh, Moat would be a good one.
Moat. Are you talking Teferi's Moat here?
Yeah, Teferi's Moat.
Yeah, that it reminds me of, I was playing, I think it was Madness. I was playing Madness and my opponent had Teferi's Moat, but he had all Japanese cards, and so he was like, he slammed it down and he was like, yeah, it's basically like a moat, but he didn't inform me the part about the color, like the color of the creature, because you select the color of a creature, and those creatures without flying can't. So I ended up getting there eventually, but took a lot longer than it should have because of the Japanese Teferi's Moat.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure. I can understand that. Absolutely. Yeah, Teferi's mode is you it never sees play because you typically have, moat in those other, formats where you can play that. Um, but that's all we get in middle school, or pre-modern. But I think it's fine, because you normally want it for a deck like this where they're all one color, either for elves or for goblins,
Yeah.
even Sly, Although I
I
don't know
like
if
humility a lot in this deck, specifically
sure.
because of the. I mean, humility is just amazing in pretty much any deck that any kind of like control deck or prison deck that uses it, but especially with Decree of Justice, it just cleans up the board so nicely. Just kind of like the this control deck, this Landstill deck. It's all just about like the tempo, just slowing down the game as much as possible.
Yep.
So you can cast these 4 mana enchantments and tap 9 mana to make 6/1/1s at end of turn.
Right. It's interesting because so my round one I ended up playing against a blue white splash red control deck that felt a lot like Landstill in a lot of ways, but it was playing Goblin Trenches as its win condition.
You'll have to remind me of what that card is.
Goblin Trenches, red white colorless enchantment. You may pay 2 and sacrifice a land to make 2/1/1 red white Goblin Soldier tokens.
Okay. Was it playing any kind of like land destruction effect to kind of benefit from the fact that it was destroying a lot of its own lands?
Nope. It was a lot of Fire and Ices, a lot of Fact of Fiction, Sword of Plowshares, counter spells, Force of Wills, a lot of those control elements. And then you would just eventually, once you cleared the board, you could cash in on these Goblin Trenches and just start attacking for 2/2. And, it's instant speed, right? So the end step, you can just, make 2 power, make 4 power, and then that can just be enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Land
tax? Was there land tax in the deck? That seems like a.
Oh man, I didn't see land tax that I recall, but that definitely sounds great. Obviously, I remember in an extended deck I was playing a Goblin Trenches, Coat of Arms deck, but I was also playing with like Life from the Loam to get my lands back. We don't have Life the Loam in this format.
I wish it was legal. That'd be like if I had a special like middle school +5 cards. Life from the Loam would be one of those cards. I love that.
Absolutely. Card. Well, Paul's going to go ahead and start off game 2 here with the exact same Fairy Conclave. We'll see if he's got the Force of Will. Ooh, Patrick's going to go ahead and play Barbarian Ring. Okay, so he'll drop down to 19, cast this Goblin Lackey. It resolves.
All right, Paul has to have a plan here. He's not going to get got twice.
Double blue sources is a bad sign for that. I don't.
Hydroblast, maybe?
Hydroblast would... Well, I mean, if we had Hydro... Well, I guess we couldn't counter it, but Hydroblast would be good here. I would have Hydroblasted on his turn, though, just so we couldn't untap.
To avoid the red blast, yeah. That's just getting real... It's just like hubris. Right. To do it on their turn, to let them untap with red. Well,
Ringleader's going to go ahead and grab 2 Fanatics and a Pile Driver here. And the pressure's already on for Paul.
I wonder what Paul's plan is here.
I can see a Sword of Plowshares in his hand, so maybe he was hoping for a white source.
Yeah, should we tell him to keep his hand up a little bit? Is that...
it's good for coverage if I can see his hand. All right, we're gonna get to prohibit the Pile Driver, so that's gonna be a big deal.
Okay. So if he has swords in his he still doesn't have a white source.
No, he doesn't have the white source. I think he kept this on turn 2 counter spell with the swords in hand, and he's just getting
there's the port.
Lackied.
There's the port. Port doesn't matter so much in this situation. I mean, like I would be worried about Paul getting to double white, so it's less relevant here. But with the lackey and just like jamming the way he's jamming, I would definitely just use the mana to port and let the lackey bring in whatever creature.
Yeah, sure.
Now the ringleaders. So.
Okay, so it looks like Patrick did bring in a red blast. We have Cabal Therapies in our deck. We do pick up the Siege Gang Commander. So if we can't deal with this lackey now, Siege Gang is going to it doesn't go to the graveyard, Patrick. We're gonna get to Siege Gang next turn, and I think that will very likely be a significant lights out moment for Paul if we can't
Right.
answer this. Now,
So yeah, I think that Patrick's thinking about whether to use the port, when to use the port, what land to port. So I think porting, even like if he doesn't have an incinerator, he could port the conclave on his turn to make sure that the lackey hits.
sure.
And once the Siege King commander gets into play, that's going to be lights out. Because again, Paul is still 2 turns away from like a wrath effect or humility.
Right. And we need to have a, double white source to get there.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 turns away at least. Paul must. I mean, I think he doesn't have it. I don't know.
Patrick opting to cast a Mog Fanatic. I guess that also makes sure that the Fairy Conclave can't block.
That's true.
But
But
I don't know.
He
It
does
doesn't.
have the Bloodstained Mire to use the Rishadan port.
That's true. We did play land. Okay, I'm here for it. I think Patrick really wants to make that a black source for Cabal Therapy, but well, we're gonna see what he wants to do. He's gonna drop down to 1670. Okay, we're going to accumulate our knowledge with Bloodstained Mire on the stack. We'll draw a card. Patrick will then resolve Bloodstained Mire. Are we going to get a... I guess he's going to pass after that. Okay, so Paul going to Desperation dig for white source. We found a blocker that isn't going to do what we need it to do, because at the end step it's going to get tapped.
Yep. So he just taps down the factory at end of turn. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how many white sources Paul has. I think both games he was confident he would be able to find one. First game, I can see it. Second game, I don't know. Maybe he had such a stacked hand, he just like wasn't worried about it. He thought he would get there. He thought he had enough card draw, but this is the price you pay for playing even a 2-color deck, but lots of colorless lands.
Yeah. Landstill's always, it's interesting because like I think of it as blue-white should just be full of basics, and usually the deck doesn't have that many basics in it compared to other decks. And we see that now. We see, 3 non-basics, the 1 basic island, no white sources and all of this. And it looks like he's got a couple different white cards in hand, so it's possible Paul just thought he would draw out of this and maybe he would be able to dodge the turn 1 lackey.
And I gotta say, like, I do remember this. I think I did watch at least part of this game where he was on stream before, where AK looked incredible. I gotta say, AK looks pretty bad here, especially the first one.
Sure. Yeah.
Second one, okay, but like it's still too late. Like probably Impulse would be better in that situation, just to dig for a white source.
Yeah, week 1 he had a game where he drew all 4 of them, and it looked incredible. And look, there's a white source,
but it's a tapped white source.
Too late.
Is a coastal tower, so even
that was, oh man. Well, Patrick's going to take this game 2-0 without much resistance here, as Paul failed to play any white cards that mattered. Not how he drew it up, I'm sure.
No.
Definitely not. Well, sometimes that's the way it goes, though, right? That's what Goblins is here to do. It's here to play turn 1 lackey, and it's here to just send a message. That's exactly what happened, right?
Yeah, I think like a lot of decks that would be pretty good in this format just can't beat this Goblins deck. It's just too fast. It's too explosive. If you're dirtling around, if you're like trying to get something done on turn 2 or turn 3, and you don't have that turn 1 interaction or turn 0 interaction with Force of Will, Goblins would just punish you all day long.
Sure. What do you? I mean, so it looks like Patrick's on the Black Splash, which feels like a more traditional kind of classic build. For cards like the Cabal Therapy and probably like a
some number of duress.
Yeah, duress. Those sorts of effects. What do you think about that over maybe the green splash that we've seen a couple times, and especially might be bigger in pre-modern?
Yeah, right. So that's definitely what I've seen is that the green splash is bigger in pre-modern, and sometimes they'll run, a few ancient tombs as well. So that's, you get naturalized. That's kind of like all you need
Mm,
for the most part. You're just worried about these enchantments that are backbreaking, like Circle of Protection Red or Humility or other things that just completely shut down your game plan. So, those decks are like what, 35, 36 goblins, a couple naturalized main deck, a couple naturalized side, and they just, they're just goblins goblining all day long.
yeah,
uh, I like the play style of like the black deck, the black splash, and especially like the burning wish for things like, yeah, Patriarch's Bidding or Living Death. That just, I don't know if it's better, but it's more fun to me.
sure,
But yeah, it's just, it just depends on whether do you want to be able to duress a card out of your opponent's hand, or do you want to naturalize it? And there's pros and cons to both. Like if they top deck it, naturalize is better. If you get it in their opener, Cabal Therapy or duress is going to be better.
sure.
So yeah, I think the green might be a few percentage points better, but I think the black kind of can do more interesting and over the top things, especially when it's got access to Burning Wish for a one of sideboard.
Who doesn't want to cast Burning Wish too, right? I mean, that just sounds fun. Like, even if it's not good, I still think that that's fun.
Yeah, and
So,
actually, honestly, it's pretty good. Like, and it's easy to cast the spells in your sideboard with a prospector.
right.
For especially something like, play a Burning Wish, get a Living Death, sack your whole board, slam the Living Death, get all of your goblins back from the grave. That's
Yeah.
my all-time favorite. Like, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, no, who doesn't want to do that? That sounds wonderful. I mean, you feel like a powerful wizard, right? Throwing all the goblins under the bus only to bring them back, for another day. But that's not the only game of Magic that we have today. We do have another match in the hopper for you. So we're going to go take a short break while we go ahead and bring you our second match of Middle School Magic tonight. So stick around, hang out, and we will be back momentarily. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Romancing the Stones Dance Party Middle School Webcam League. My name is Robert. I'm joined here in the booth with Lorian. How's it going, Lorian?
Yeah, good as always.
Excellent. Well, this is our second match of the evening. We've got Ty Tomlinson on the left and Angelo on the right. I'm kind of excited to see what happens in this match. It might be incredibly exciting and long. It might be incredibly exciting and short. I don't know. Did you tune in last week and watch Ty on stream?
I did. Oh, is that like 10 minutes? Mostly shuffling?
Yes. So, for any of you who didn't tune in last week, Ty is on one of the fastest decks, if not the fastest deck in the format, a Worldgorger Dragon combo deck. Turbo Dragon, as we've called this version. And Angelo is not on a turbo deck. What is Angelo playing, Lorian?
Yeah, Angelo is on a Romancing the Stones special green-black control deck. So it uses Necropotence basically as a turbo Phyrexian Arena. And Pernicious Deed to clean up the board. Basically play very light on creatures, but plays things like Call the Herd, so just like Entombs, Nether Spirit, and just grinds out the opponent. So Angelo has some good weapons here: Cabal Therapy, Duress, to take out early combo from Ty, and then can grind the game to a halt as he sees fit. So
Sure.
I could see this game going either way. I don't really know how this plays out, but this is like there's the green black rock deck that you won a league with.
Yep.
And then this is the Tweedy Hockey
Creatureless rock, as I call it.
Yeah. Creature light, yeah.
Creature light. Yeah. Well, it's already going swimmingly for Angelo, as Ty had a land and pass, which means we didn't cast our Careful Study. We aren't casting an Entomb to put anything in the graveyard, which is phenomenal for Angelo here. It might give him some time to cast some other things. So we're going to see probably an end of turn Entomb for Nether Spirit, if I had to guess. Which sets up a really good Cabal Therapy, which may be exactly what Angelo needs to make this game grind out longer. Angela was talking to me before this match and was saying, game one is ties to lose, and then after that, things get spicy. So we'll see. We'll see if Ty can manage to meet expectations and win game one. But Angelo looks like to be setting himself for a really good fight.
Yes, definitely. I so Ty must have like I would put him on intuition 100% because like what the hell is he not casting turn 1 or turn 2 and why would he keep that hand?
Sure.
He must have kind of a busted hand that is really solid. Like he probably has the whole combo and it's just like that's kind of all you need, right? Intuition and
A
an
reanimate
animate
spell.
effect.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. Especially, we don't have to make any moves, do anything. Ty deciding, now's the time to activate our mana, our fetch lands here.
Okay.
Surprisingly, though, Angelo's not going to cast anything on his turn. He doesn't have a therapy or an effect like that. And with only one mana untapped, we don't have any good way to interact here, I don't think. So
Yeah. So Ty's just trying to filter out land draws from his deck.
we see the Caves of Core list there. Oh, okay. So we're going to see a
Okay, so this
frantic
may be the
search.
win right here. This is even better than intuition if he just
Yep.
has the combo right here. If he's got something like Whispers of the Muse in hand, that's just the game's done.
Right. Okay, so we're going to double frantic search. This is so we're going to showcase a lot of cards in middle school that you cannot play in pre-modern. Between Entomb, Worldgorger Dragon, I believe the Frantic Search, right, is not.
No, Frantic Search is legal.
Frantic Search is legal. Okay.
I'm almost positive. I'm sure chat will let me know if I'm not right about that. But
for anyone who primarily plays pre-modern or is familiar with the format, is Frantic Search legal in that format? Let us know. Wow, so Ty had an explosive turn 3 with no follow-up, but we are going to time walk. We're going to cast the Abeyance here. And Ty will drop down to 17 to do so. And Angelo is going to have a short conversation about, what can or can't I do.
which is not much. He can attack with another spirit. That's about it.
So let's pull up Abeyance here.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused by Ty's keep at 7, I believe. I believe he kept to 7 with no ways to interact.
So Abeyance, 2 mana instant. Until end of turn, target player cannot play instants, interrupts, sorceries, or abilities requiring an activation cost, and it will cantrip. So it does give Ty an extra turn here. All Angelo can do is cast a enchantment, which is legal, and then attack for 2. But that is going to give Ty some extra time here. Okay, so we're going to Entomb for Loquatus' champion, the other half of the combo. I think we were just looking for. We probably have a reanimation spell in hand, and we have these 2 frantic searches and a Worldgorger Dragon. We're thinking all this frantic search needs to do is like draw the last piece of the puzzle, and he had 2 of them to just chain into. So, and he had an Abeyance to also follow that up with.
Yeah, love the main deck Abeyance. You don't see it often enough, in my opinion.
Right. It's really good in a deck like this, and Ty was having a conversation about it, and he was kind of saying that, and, please correct me if I'm wrong, Ty. That Abeyance was his kind of way to just answer all sorts of different hate cards. You can answer Tormod's Crypt with it. You can answer, any of those artifact removal, anti-graveyard things. Any of the instants or sorcery spells that tend to mess up your combo. A lot of options that are common in middle school get turned off by it. So, but we're gonna see. That to me tells me that Ty does not have a reanimation spell.
Yeah, I mean, Angelo could have activated the Pernicious Deed on Ty's turn, but for 0, that doesn't interrupt Ty's combo at all. So he doesn't have it. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have it. Now the line has to be for him, Abeyance on his turn and have the Animate Dead.
Yeah.
because now Angelo's never gonna have less than 2 mana up, or
Right.
probably even 3. 3 would be more wise to get Necromancy as well,
Sure.
because he can just like blow up Ty's combo at instant speed.
Right. And exile all this permanence in the process.
Yes.
So
Which is relevant now. Like, sometimes like the dragon player can come back. I would say on turn 2 if they get all their permanents from, they get 2 lands removed. Okay, they might have a land or 2 in hand. At this point, he's got 4 lands in play. He's probably not holding back a couple other ones. And if he is, he's probably not winning this game.
So Worldgorger Dragon, which is what Ty is using the combo, is this weird, bizarre dragon, comes into play, you remove all of your other permanents from the game. When Worldgorger Dragon leaves play, all your permanents come back into play. Well, when we reanimate with enchantment-based reanimation spells, you create this loop where they keep coming in and out of play. That's what Ty is trying to do here. Now, with Pernicious Deed on the other side of the table, that allows Angelo to interrupt this combo because there's a moment where the enchantments are on the battlefield and triggers are on the stack where you can remove it from the game so it stops flickering in and out and interrupt the combo. And if you time it with the right triggers on the stack, you will then prevent all the permanents from coming back into play. Now, this is exactly what Ty needed, though. Ty needed the Abeyance. Which means Pernicious Deed cannot activate. It's an activated ability.
But he didn't. He still doesn't have the
my
enemy dead.
Then why are we casting this? I don't. How many Abeyance does Ty have?
I think Ty may be not enough. He doesn't have 6 in his deck. Like, maybe he has a third one. It's possible, but like Angelo could duress him at any moment.
He could.
And this combo becomes so hard to pull off. I think Ty's just like maybe a little stunned that he's drawn so many cards. He's filtered so many cards to his deck, and he still hasn't found an enchantment. And that is something that happens to these very linear combo decks. Sometimes you just don't find the other piece of the 2-card combo.
Sure.
And it's it happens. Like the deck is stacked in Ty's favor. That's why he's coming into this round 2-0. But it's just not cooperating with him right now.
So chat did chime in and say that Frantic Search is legal. It was originally on the ban list, but it was unbanned in 2018. So
in pre-modern, yeah.
In pre-modern. Okay, so that explains why my brain feels like it could be banned, but also isn't surprised it's not.
Yeah. So if Angelo gets 1 more mana, he can activate a Treetop Village, and then it's a 2-turn clock. So this doesn't look good for Ty. I mean, I think he needs another Abeyance, and he needs an Animate Dead or Necromancy effect.
Yeah, no, this really makes me want to go back and understand what was Ty's 7. What did he just know what Angelo was on and just knew that maybe he'd have extra time, and knew he had enough redundancy that if he got early duress, it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Duress and Cabal Therapy, and he's like, oh, well, if I keep a hand with all of the win conditions, they're probably going to get stripped out, so I'll just keep the 7, use that card advantage. Maybe Angelo will whiff on the Cabal Therapy.
So Chad is asking if he can win with 2 enchantment-based reanimation spells. And I think the only answer to that might be if one of them is an instant speed, like Necromancy. Because I think the way the triggers work is you could cast one, it's going to get blown up by Pernicious Deed, but the problem is all of your permanents are going to get exiled and remain in exile, which means the second one, even if you float mana, won't be able to flicker out the rest of your mana. And this deck wins by generating infinite mana and pumping it into something like Laquatus's Ambassador Laquatus to mill at your opponent.
Yep. So here's Angelo's line. He got the 6th mana. He's keeping that 3 back in case Ty happens to have a Necromancy. But this intuition end of turn from Ty, I don't think is going to be enough, unless he has a 3rd Abeyance in hand. Then it will be
chat
enough.
Bringing up that if we have 2 reanimation spells and an extra land drop,
oh, that's true.
we could do that. So
you float the mana. Then you don't want to cast it instant. You want the other one to resolve, to be done. You slam the other land. You use the floated mana. You animate. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the line Ty is at 2. Now let's
Or
just see.
Abeyance.
What do
Abeyance
we?
is fine here.
Okay, Dance of the Dead. So reanimation spells. That's what we needed. Do we have the one in hand? I almost want to say no. Okay, so we're going to entomb. End of turn.
Honestly, I think with this probably is literally just getting other cards that aren't Abeyance out of his deck. Yeah, he puts the other Worldgorger Dragon, so it just makes it so that he doesn't draw the
Draw it.
Worldgorger
Sure.
Dragon.
So chat putting out the other out, so that Ty doesn't lose as he draws the game. He just, if he can keep
True.
if he doesn't have a way to win with infinite mana, he can at least draw the game out with infinite, flickers. So chat, if you aren't familiar with the combo with our friend Worldgorger Dragon, if you have no other targets in your graveyard for Animate Dead, this cycle repeats infinitely, and you cannot break it up, and the game becomes a draw because no other things can happen by the mechanics of the rules. So that is a possibility that Ty can go if he decides he needs to. He can move into draw phase and start his combo, knowing he can't finish it, just to avoid losing. But that will give Angelo and Ty the chance to move to sideboards, but they'll get to play, a number of extra sideboard games here, if that is the case. So Ty is seemingly on his last turn. If he passes the turn to Angelo and doesn't have something like Abeyance in hand, then this could be the last turn for Ty. So we'll see what Ty's managed to put together. I mean, we have to think he's got something, right? We've cast the Demonic Tutor, Entomb a couple times. We've cast Frantic Searches a number of times. We've cast the Demonic Tutor in the form of Intuition. What more are we looking for?
Yeah, so Tai saying interesting. So Tai could have gone. Tai could have gone for the draw there, but I guess he decided not.
He has a Meslar Quadus in the graveyard, so I don't think he's not technically allowed to draw.
He's not legally allowed.
I see. He does have to make a different game decision and advance the board state.
I see. So what about the Undead Gladiator in Angelo's graveyard? Would that rule, because Animate Dead or Dance of the Dead can target.
You could target that, sure. I think that is a choice.
But I mean, like in that infinite combo where you have to choose something else,
you could choose. Yeah, you'd have to choose that, so you can't draw.
Yeah.
So, this is where it gets weird with the rules, because I think in a sanctioned event, a judge would say, yes, you have to make a different decision. We are playing We're All Friends REL, so it gets a little, I don't think Ty is not the type of person to do that sort of thing, and I don't think that would be the way it would go. But yeah, I think because Angelo has a creature in the yard, that's a very good point out, as well as the creature in Ty's yard. I don't think draw phase is something that can happen. So it looks like our players are going to have a discussion about when we get to activate this for maximum damage.
Yeah. So
Angelo figures it out. I believe that puts him a game up. So
I think chat rightly pointed out that he could have drawn the game there, because he could have floated the 4 mana. Yeah, so they're discussing it right now.
Maybe. Well, yeah. There might have been an opportunity there for Ty not to lose, but I think, Angelo...
no, right. No, he has to target something. I keep forgetting. He has to target something else. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so couldn't have drawn the game.
Yeah.
He has to choose another target at some point. He can diddle around with Worldgorger Dragon 6 million times, but eventually has to choose something else besides. Yeah.
Well, I think, that's about as best you could draw it up for Angelo now. Now he gets to bring in... He's got 2 games to draw his sideboard cards and stop Ty's madness. So who are you rooting for, Laurie, in this match?
It's tough. I actually usually really enjoy playing against Dragon, because my sideboard cards usually line up pretty well. Not this league. This league it's really terrible. But it's like, Blue Elemental Blast can get them. Naturalize can get them.
Sure.
Swords can get them. There's just so many ways to interact with it. So
Sure.
I feel like it's a little bit of an underdog combo deck. It is fast and it can get people by surprise, but I don't think it's ever won any middle school event that I've ever seen. So it's a bit of an underdog. I love this Necro control deck, but it's kind of a bully, you know.
Sure. Sure.
So probably the dragon deck, I guess.
Well, okay. So I'm rooting for the dragon deck simply so it doesn't enter the 2-1 bracket because I don't know if I can beat this deck. So I don't want to ask that question. I don't want to see if I have the answer. It's just not where I want to be. I strangely enough, I'd much rather play. Well, I don't actually want to play against Pernicious Deed. I don't want to play against either of these decks. So
I would much prefer Angelo's deck. I don't know how good my matchup actually is.
I don't know either. So
I think it's like if the only way that I could win against Ty is if he had 2 games with the draws that he had.
just this
I
sort
could
of
beat
thing.
that.
Sure. Well, you know, it's interesting because we did see like Ty's deck performed like on all cylinders last week on stream. He had a turn 2 win on camera, and then a turn 3 or 4 win, you know, the next game, against an opponent with no way to interact. So that, you know, that showed how powerful the deck can be.
Yeah.
But this also shows, right, like there's a reason why this hasn't won all of our leagues. It usually does well, right? It usually splits the league, right? It'll, you know, win half the games, lose half the games. And we've seen a number of different versions. I don't think we've ever seen this version that Ty is playing.
No, this is I mean, I guess all the dragon decks are pretty all in, unless you count Raja's mono black rack dragon combo, which is incredible.
Right.
But
That
really he's like, it's like Excalibur or Thor's hammer for Raja. Like only he can really wield it effectively.
I believe that. So that deck plays sort of a fair black grindy, you know, hand disruption, the rack, you know, side of Magic, but also has this dragon combo in there, which you can actually use when you generate your infinite mana. You also have a curse scroll, which you can then pump your mana into to start shocking your opponent. And it's not deterministic, you know, but it is.
No, I mean,
is.
I don't know. Statistically, like that's the thing that I love about it. It's like you can have 6 cards in hand, but with infinite mana and infinite curse scroll activations, you will get there eventually.
Yes.
I don't know if a judge would accept that or they'd make you play it out, but it's like, yeah, come on, like what, 1 trillion mana?
If you roll, if you roll that dice 1,000 times, you will eventually get to 20 and, you know, 20 damage to your opponent. Will it be in, you know, 10 flips or will it be in 150 flips? We don't know. But that's a very clever use of the dragon combo in that style, in that build, where you get to kind of do something like that. The other build that I've seen around is more closer to Ty's build, but it's also playing Woo Spy, which is a card from Portal Through Kingdoms that you don't get in Pre-Modern, but it allows you to look at the top card of a library, either one, and put it on top or in the graveyard, I believe. So you can use that to mill out your opponent by flickering it in and out with the dragon. So you don't need mana to make that work. You just need it to be in play. Cost 1 mana, I believe, or 2 mana. So it's not hard to play. All
right, so game 2. Again, Ty does not have a turn 1 play, and Angelo has a Tormod script. So Angelo off to a good start.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes, you know, crypt is not enough against these graveyard decks, but Angelo has a lot of other answers at his disposal. For example, if he has Cabal Therapy here, he can hit Ty's hand. It's not great because Ty is representing intuition mana with the Island Ancient Tomb. So he'd probably just activate it in response, get 3 Worldgorger or get 2 Worldgorger dragons in his graveyard, and then it's a 50-50 shot whether he has Animate Dead or Dance of the Dead in hand. But
Sure.
Angelo has 2 shots. If Angelo has Cabal Therapy here, he gets 2 shots with Nether Spirit.
Yep. What's interesting is does Ty have a way to win outside of Ambassador Laquatus?
He's got Cunning Wish, Stroke of Genius. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's got Whispers of the Muse. So I haven't seen Whispers of the Muse in a lot of these decks. It's just a 1 mana or 1 blue draw card, but you can buy it back for 5 colorless. So and it's instant. So obviously with infinite mana, you can draw your whole deck, and then you
Sure.
can get whatever answer you need.
Perfect. Okay, so we do have a way in case the situation arises where we're able to snipe out the Laquatus out of the graveyard. I don't know. I feel like if we intuition for Worldgorger Dragon, that almost gets a little dicey. Ooh, we have the second
one, yeah.
second crypt, which means we can be a little bit more liberal with our crypt activations. Now, notably, this is what the main deck abayances are for. They do stop crypt from activating. So
yes.
Angelo is going to have to make sure we find a way to sort of interact with the hand, I hope, to just be more in control of the game. Although we saw Ty draw multiple abayances last game, and it didn't matter against the Pernicious Deed, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so Ty, well, maybe Ty does have the intuition, but the 2 Tormod's Crypt kind of wrecked his plans.
Sure. I believe it.
Careful. I mean, like, what intuition is really nice. You get 3 Worldgorger Dragons, 1 in your hand, 2 in your graveyard, and then with a careful study, it's very easy to put the other one into your graveyard after a Tormod's Crypt activation.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well, we're gonna see Cabal Therapy here, which is exactly what Angelo's looking at. This is exactly where his deck is going to really start to hum these next few turns, and we're going to get to see.
Angelo names Intuition.
Yeah.
Gets an Intuition, Dance of the Dead, and an Entomb. And a Whispers. Let's see if... So he's going to flash Cabal Therapy back.
Ooh, yeah. This is rough for Ty. Now, what do we name here? I think we name Entomb.
Well, yeah. So Angelo hasn't put it on the stack yet, but Ty can respond with an Entomb, which he might. But I think the better pick here is Dance of the Dead. Like, even if Ty does not cast the Entomb, I think the better play is Dance of the Dead. So Angelo does go for the Dance of the Dead.
I think that makes more sense, because we have the Entomb covered with these 2 Tormod's Crypts pretty well. I guess we get to end step Whispers of the Muse and draw an extra card, right? What's the buyback on that?
I think it's 5.
Oh, we're not buying back that right now.
Probably not. No, I mean, like, Ancient Tomb. Like, yeah, you can activate it a few times, but it's like an extra hit from Nether Spirit, which, like, that's Angelo's win con right now. Like, yeah, Angelo is in control of this game, but damn, does he have a slow clock.
Yeah, he does. You are correct. Whispers of the Muse buyback is 5, so probably not what we're going to see there.
Classic in Randy Bueller's, like, top 8, top 16 World Championships deck. Drago. I think the win conditions there were like Stocking Stones. Just had a bunch of counter spells, Whisper the Muse, Stocking Stones. Some Quicksands, I think, as well. Kind of a miserable deck.
Yeah. Wow. Well, compared to what we saw Ty's deck do last week, Angelo is certainly showing that these interactive cards are really all that you kind of need to maybe stop this from happening.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing that I think keeps Dragon from being like a quote unquote tier 1 deck in this format is every way that you can interact with the deck, every common interactive sideboard card that you would want to have messes up Dragon. So, like, Enchantment Hate hits dragon. Swords of Plowshares hits dragon. Graveyard Hate. Like every axis that makes a good unfair middle school deck, dragon's just the confluence of all of those. And so you get to bring in a ton of cards against it. And it's just so hard to win if
This is true.
for a deck like Angelo's that has so many ways to interact. Like, does Angelo even have like naturalizes? He could even bring in natural. Yeah.
Well, we just wished for an abeyance, so I'm assuming that's the fourth copy of an abeyance.
Yep.
And we've got every piece of the puzzle that we need other than a reanimation spell. So if we can find the reanimation spell before Angelo finds a discard outlet, Ty might sneak this one in.
Yep.
With an abeyance.
And I like Angelo's play last turn of just, I mean, I don't know what else is in his hand, but Call to Hurt perfectly good. Sets up a 3-turn clock. So now he's got a real clock. Nether Spirit was what, like 8 turn? So
yeah.
He doesn't really need to cast anything else. He can just be reactive for the rest of the game. 2 turns is plenty. He doesn't need to overextend. He doesn't need to like play another land, another Call to Herd. Just get it done with what's on board.
Yeah, the only thing that would be worth casting now would be something to interact with the cards in hand. And I don't. I mean, if we had those, I feel like we'd snap them off. Okay, so we'll just cast make another 3/3. Doesn't really change the clock. But if we got nothing else to do, I mean,
well, it does change the clock because Ty has an Ancient Tomb in place. So now Ty can't activate the Ancient Tomb unless he wins on his turn.
Sure. Ty actually going to go ahead and cast this Whispers of the Muse, which I find very peculiar because I feel like we need that to.
He's got a Liquatus in the graveyard.
No, we don't. We don't have a Liquatus.
No, I'm sorry. That's a Cunning Wish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the graveyard is checked. So even if we try to cast Abeyance, we must have drawn another Whispers of the Muse or something.
Well, now he can tie the game. Right.
Yeah, that's true. There are no creatures in either graveyard, so tie game is on the table.
That's an interesting line. I don't know if I don't think it makes sense for Angelo to take it, but at some point, like when Nether Spirit dies, maybe just let it stay in the graveyard so he can't tie the game. It's an edge case. It's probably better just have it in play, but
yeah, sure. I could see that. Next turn if we can draw. I mean, next turn if we draw the Cabal Therapy, then that's pretty good. But
I think Ty kind of needs the win this turn. I guess he's technically got next turn, but
I think he's in the tank, but I don't think he has it. I don't know.
There's not much you can do at end of Angelo's turn. You need to untap, you need to cast the Abeyance, and then you go off once your graveyard is safe.
Yeah, let's see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Abeyance is 2, Entomb is 1, Reanimation Spell is another. So then we need to have another piece of the puzzle. So technically could have it here if one of those mystery cards is a Reanimation Spell and the other one is a Whispers of the Muse or a Cunning Wish. But he must not have the reanimation spells, the only thing I can think of. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and Cunning Wish, which...
So chat called Cunning Wish, and they were correct.
Yep.
So Ty gets Frantic Search. Maybe this is desperation. He's just trying to maximize the odds of winning this turn.
Did he not draw 2 cards off Frantic Search?
Oh, he hasn't cast it yet. He just Cunning Wished it and he went to his turn.
Oh, end of his turn. Okay, I see what happened. Okay, that was end step. For some reason, I thought he was in main phase. Okay, so we drew a mystery card.
Yeah, he's in main phase now. He's going for it. It sounds like from his tone, he does not have it. So he's hoping to top deck with Frantic Search.
That's all that you need, right? All right, so we're going to cast Abeyance. I don't think there's anything. I don't even think we crack anything here. I think we just say, yeah, sure, you got it. You draw a card off the Abeyance. We don't even have... We have 1 floating mana, so we do have Frantic Search mana. Alright, so I think We need to cast Frantic Search and untap this Undiscovered Paradise, right?
We're the ancient.
I guess we do still have a land drop, so we still have the one in hand.
Deep in the tank here. So Ty has definitely put himself in the situation where he's dead next turn. So he's got it. I think he's just trying to maximize his odds here, thinking about the order
Sure.
of operations, and probably like the frantic search untap. Like, what is he going to untap? Because he has enough right now. He's got one floating from Ancient Tomb.
Right. I feel like we need at least Entomb gets the card in the graveyard, and then we have a reanimation spell. So then we get the infinite mana. But if we don't have another way to end the loop, maybe that's what Ty's trying to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, or if we don't have the reanimation spell, then he has to kind of get it.
Yeah. So he's aware of how to draw the game, and you know that he couldn't draw it last turn because there was another legal target that he could choose. So
okay.
I'm guessing he's just trying to maximize the way he can win. Ooh, Laquatus.
Ooh, that is that's a good sign. If we have the reanimation spell, that's the game. And then we get to really see the strength of abeyance in this deck.
Okay.
Okay, Entomb. Dance of the Dead. Okay, we have it.
Got it.
Ty found it. Ty found a way. Wow.
So Ty gets game 2 after being deep in the tank for a while.
Wow. That's still pretty impressive, right? I mean, we had to navigate that to, you know, we got Cabal Therapied, which hit 2 cards, and we had the Tormod's Crypt on board. But then we got to see Abeyance to do the job.
Absolute all-star that match. And being able to Cunning Wish for it is really nice too. So
yep.
That was I love that in Dragon. That actually, it doesn't answer everything. Like obviously, you know, like still a naturalize, the swords there would wreck him, but yeah, definitely makes the odds of being able to go off successfully better.
Ty definitely showing the thought he put into this as, you know, trying to find a card that is versatile and answers enough of all the different things. And Abeyance does a good job, right? It stopped the Tormod's Crypts from doing anything. So, I mean, I still think, you know, if Angelo's going to be on the play this game, you know, if he has, you know, another like Nether Spirit into Cabal Therapy and then into like another Cabal Therapy, that could be in and of itself too. But he also, I mean, we need to see him close the game as well. And I think that he might be feeling that kind of pressure too.
Yeah, and that definitely is a weakness of this control deck. It is dedicating so many slots to control. And its win conditions are inevitable, but they are not fast by any means.
I strongly agree. So, I mean, the ways that we can close the close out the game are really just elephant tokens, Nether Spirit beats, and what?
Roar of the Worm token.
Roar of the Worm token. Okay, so that could be something. We just have to get there. I guess treetop beats aren't very quick.
No,
chat pointing out. I was saying, chat pointing out that Abeyance does stop naturalize and plow.
Oh, great point, Andrew. Yeah. So Abeyance really just dealing with. Is there anything that Abeyance doesn't cover?
Yes, actually. Ankh of Mishra.
Oh, that's good.
Do you know anyone who likes to play that card?
You.
Me? No. Something I keep forgetting is that does actually make Worldgorger a little less perfect.
Yeah, Worldgorger generally not playing much artifact or enchantment removal.
Yep.
Although like Chain of Vapor is pretty common in the list. Like that's kind of it's the catch-all answer. Just whatever permanent is causing you problems, just get it off the board with Chain of Vapor.
Chat pointing out that Antuka Vigilante can still be activated during an Abeyance turn, as it is not an activated ability. It is a special action to unmorph it and interact with enchantments.
Sharpshooter is though, right?
Sharpshooter is an activated ability.
So that would be turned off due to. But yeah, vigilante. That's funny. That's a very funny interaction, right?
Yep.
And the its effect is a trigger from the morph. So
Right. Yeah.
not a lot actually. Yeah. So abeyance. Yeah, I think the white splash for abeyance is pretty genius and gives. That's got to give Worldgorger Dragon what, like 10 percentage points
Oh, I'm sure. I
in.
mean, it answers what it answers. It does that roll, but also cantrips. So like, it's fine as a time walk, which we saw, game one, just reasonable to do. I do think it's a nice innovation here.
Yeah. So I wonder if like it would make. I guess this idea would make a lot more sense if Dark Ritual was in the format, but that Phyrexian Negator
Oh,
could be a potential sideboard card for this deck if it just
yep.
wanted to like close the game out fast.
Yeah.
Turn 3, it's not as impressive, but like yeah, turn 1 Negator against a very
Turn one duress is going to be fantastic for coverage because we get to see Ty's hand here. It looks like he kept 4 land, Cunning Wish, Dance, and Whispers of the Muse. So just generic cards to go long. Not trying to turbo here.
Yeah, so I think Ty realizes his matchup here is against discard, so mulliganing to like a fast combo isn't going to be the way that he's going to win here.
Sure.
So yeah, Angelo takes the Dance of the Dead. I think that's defensible. Cunning Wish is kind of scary because it can kind of
Grab.
get you whatever you need, whatever
Yeah.
you're missing.
It grabbed an Abeyance and it grabbed a Frantic Search last time, which were both very good cards. But it doesn't matter because we've got the Cabal Therapy and we're going to grab the Cunning Wish. And Ty, is not looking to hardcast Worldgorger Dragon. This is not Judgment Limited.
All right, so Angelo does have the follow-up Cabal Therapy for Cunning Wish. So Ty not sitting on much besides a Whisper of the Muse and a bunch of lands. So again, this is another spot where like, yeah, it's looking great for Angelo. He's got the Tormod script in play, but he has to find a way to end the game quickly. So I
Right.
think Call the Herd would be great here, especially if he's got 2 more lands in hand. Just go, turn 3 call, turn 4 call, and just start punching in, try to end this game. But like, yeah, there's so many good draws out of Ty Sec. I think Cabal Therapy or
Right.
Careful Study's great here. Just discard some lands. Anything that's relevant, keep it.
Yeah. And if we've spent our discard spells taking good cards, but then if we don't close out the game fast enough, Ty will just draw other good cards in his deck.
Like Worldgorger Dragon and discard it. So
sure. So we're offering up a dragon already for the Tormod Crypt. So okay, we're going to Entomb here, end of turn, which is great. So we're going to get to see the Nether Spirit. Showing that does in fact tap for black here.
yeah, I think Ty thought maybe it was a tainted land, but it was in fact a Land of War Waste.
Well, I mean, we have the swamp. It would still.
Yeah, it would tap. Yeah, the question was just whether Angelo needed to take 1 damage or not.
Sure. That makes a lot more sense.
All right, so classic play of Entomb for Nether Spirit. All right, so let me ask you this. Ty has 1 card in hand. If you're Angelo, do you flashback Cabal Therapy trying to name something? Just as 1 card in hand?
I mean, I don't know I don't know if that 1 card could be that would make a difference right now. So let's say that that's a reanimation spell and he untaps and has Abeyance. Doesn't matter because he doesn't have enough mana to do both. And we have the Tormod Crypt. So let's just, I think we're definitely fine letting that 1 card sit there for a while. But I mean, I also don't want to let it sit too long. Like, it's hard, right?
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't think you. Yeah, and you want Nether Spirit to start attacking too.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, let's see. What is the best card that Ty could have in hand that would just like wreck us if we didn't take it? Intuition's pretty good, but even then, you know what's in their hand.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I want to take right now would be a frantic search. Yeah, or something that is going to keep drawing more cards.
Right.
But without a way to guarantee that, I don't know.
Rarely seen Dromar's Cavern. A
I like
layer
it.
requires you to pick up a non-layer card, but taps for all 3 colors of mana in Ty's deck: blue, white, and black.
I like that quite a bit.
Yep. Andrew also agreeing with you, Rob, that Frantic Search is probably the best card that could be in Ty's hand at the moment. So Ty's gotta be, yeah, hard to know what this is what he would be doing kind of regardless, is just trying to get enough cards in hand to be able to go off through whatever shenanigans Angelo has.
Sure.
And Angelo here, his gameplay not going great because he was stuck on 2 lands for a few turns here. Maybe he has Call of the Herd now. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, like with these abeyance shenanigans, playing out a Pernicious Deed doesn't really do anything. So I think he just
Necro.
Okay, so he's got the Necro. Okay,
All
so
right.
now he's on the card advantage plan, and he doesn't really have to worry. I mean, he could go down to 1, and like Ty really doesn't have a way to. I guess he could attack with a Master Laquatus or something, but
sure.
Ty's not winning through damage. He's winning through decking.
Notably here, the Dromar's Cavern, as we noted, comes into play. You do have to pick a land to your hand. Does not combo well with the Worldgorger effect. So
funny.
You have to have at least another land in play, if that's what you're going to do, because otherwise it will end up sacrificing itself. So just something to be aware of.
Trigger. Okay, so leaves play. Everything comes back in. Trigger on the stack. Animate dead back on. Worldgorger Dragon on the stack. Return the lands before Dromar's Cavern trigger resolves, right?
I stand corrected. Yes, that's very, very true.
I don't think it matters. Like, when are you only going to have that land in play? But
right.
Even if you only have that land in play, I think you're still okay. All right, so chat suggesting now is the time to couple therapy. He did.
Okay, so we did do that, and we see Necromancy and Entomb. So we still don't have a way to beat the Crypts.
No.
But that knowledge now is very helpful for Angelo to shape how he sequences after restocking his hand.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Angelo's not afraid of this combo at all, unless it includes abeyance. Like,
right, sure.
That's the problem with this dragon deck. It just doesn't do, like, it just can't beat a Tormod's Crypt without an abeyance.
Or, like, a handful of more Entombs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Sorry, can't beat 2 Tormod's
Crypt. Right. I mean, chat's saying we are an abeyance away from a win. I think we are an abeyance and a half, right? Because we still have, I think, we have a dragon in the graveyard, but if that gets exiled in response to abeyance, we still have to put a
Oh no, this is it.
I don't think this is it. I don't think this is. I think this is going to.
That's fine. He's got the Entomb.
Sure.
Oh, he can't win.
But he can't win.
Oh, and Nether Spirit is in the graveyard. This is what I was talking about.
Right, Nether Spirit is in the graveyard.
No.
So we cast the abeyance. We fight through one of those. That's okay. Now we're in a better position. The next abeyance does it. Well, almost.
I mean, if he draws a Whisper of the Muse, he wins.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna necromancy the Nether Spirit? Okay, let's read necromancy because I don't think this actually, like, let's see, what does necromancy actually do? Well, this is a fool's errand. What am I doing? Why am I putting this on camera? You can't read this. This doesn't make any sense.
It just animates the creature. It doesn't modify it in any way. The only thing special about necromancy is it can be cast as an instant, but then you have to sacrifice
Okay. So I always cast it as an instant, so I always think, okay, it doesn't last. But it actually lasts here.
Yep.
So Ty is going to reanimate that, giving him the ability to draw the game out if we have another reanimation spell. So we at least have...
So, I mean, I think this is clever by Ty, because I was saying, oh, Angelo can necro down to 1 because Ty doesn't have a source of damage. Now Ty does. So,
Right.
Angelo's in an awkward position. But I mean, like, God, come on. He has to have a Call of the Herd there. All he needs is one Call of the Herd, and
Oh, I think that's what we're going to see right here. Yeah, so, okay. Here's the Call of the Herd.
And then you can even necro for more if he doesn't have another land drop.
Right, because you can always recast. We can always bring back the other half of Call of the Herd so we can have something to block and attack with. But that's really slow. And I think Ty is either going to win or draw before that happens.
Yeah. Chat pointing out that Ty magically has another spirit at his disposal, like Angelo just gave it to him through the internet.
That is a good point out by chat. These players are not in the same state. So I believe they're not in the same state. So just having the Nether Spirit handy on call, I think is great. I'd like to say our producers having the right tokens and stuff for the format, is what happened here, but that's not what happened.
Absolutely not.
Oh man, that's good. Well, Angelo's certainly in a good spot. Now, eventually, though, I think we're going to have to cast Pernicious Deed if we're going to want to answer this Necro to draw more cards, but that will inadvertently get rid of our own crypt. So we have to...
Well, and the elephant tokens.
Yeah, we may just get Necro locked and just be happy about it.
Yeah. I mean, he can take 10 more cards. I don't think there's this Call of the Herd.
Sure.
He's got blockers for days.
All right, we got a swamp up. Do we cast Duress? If we have it? I probably would.
Sorry, do you entomb at the end of your turn? Is that what you're asking?
I was asking, if we're Angelo and we've drawn a bunch of cards, do we have, and we have like Duress, do we cast it there? I assume so.
Yeah,
I don't think Angelo did, though.
Probably does now, with 5 more cards.
I would assume so. He will drop down to 6. He'll have a blocker, but I don't think...
He's not with the Call of the Herd, with 2 Call of the Herds in the graveyard and 1 elephant token in play. He's at no risk for dying to Ty's Nether Spirit. Ty could maybe get lucky. Nah, that wouldn't even work. I was thinking like he could like Chain of Vapor the elephant if Angelo was at 1 and sneak in a win, but Chain you can always send right back.
Right.
And send the Nether Spirit back to his hand. So
well, I mean if Ty can send the Nether Spirit back to hand, that would be nice. If we do have another reanimation, because the Worldgorger combo is going to flicker out both the Necromancy and whatever new reanimation spell we have, so we're going to have to keep grabbing the Nether Spirit out of the graveyard
with the Necromancy. Yeah, so then
I wonder if they could both target the Nether Spirit and one would like fall off. I think that would be a misclick if Ty did that, though. All right, well, we're going to end step Entomb here. And then, oh no, this is main phase, Dance the Dead. Okay, so Ty saying, hey, I'm going to try to win right now. And Angelo gets to say yay or nay. So if Ty has like another Necromancy in hand, then like that could be the game. And he does. Okay, so he does have the instant speed Necromancy. So he's beating the second Tormod's crypt. And we still have to find a way to win the game.
Yeah, so what's the 1 card left in Ty's hand? If it's a Whispers of the Muse, that's good enough.
Yep.
Yep, so now they're starting to work through the combo.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So
we can't draw the game because I think you can technically target another spirit with both necromancies. So we still can't draw. But I think that we can. But we get a combo. We at least get to make the infinite mana.
yeah. They're trying to figure it out. Angela's like, what is going when is there gonna be a point in time when only Worldgorger Dragon is in play?
Ooh, yes, and we're gonna edict. We have the Diabolic Edict.
Yeah, but Angelo chose the wrong time to do it because he's choosing the
Oh
edict when everything is out.
no!
Angelo. Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Well,
so
okay, no. When Dance of the Dead comes back into play, it will have to choose a target. No, this is. I don't think. Diabolic Edict does it.
Dance of the Dead is on the stack. It's not in play.
Okay.
So, but I think once Worldgorger Dragon leaves the graveyard for the first time, Dance of the Dead fizzles.
Yes. Yes, that's true. Oh, this is man. This combo.
So Angelo is struggling with knowing when to Diabolic Edict, and Ty is up the. He's like, man, I don't want to help you out too much here, so he's making
Right.
Angelo figure out when he wants to cast this.
If yeah, I didn't wake up today like and preserve my brain power enough to work through this. I'm just gonna let Ty figure it out and Angela
Yeah.
figure it out.
So Angelo, if Angelo would have cast Diabolic Edict when the Worldgorger Dragon come into play trigger was on the stack, that would have broken it up.
Sure. Okay.
But
Chat saying the same
he,
thing.
yeah, but he waited
Okay.
for all of the things to come out, and
Let's
at that
see.
point, it's too late.
Let's see if he can talk his way into the right spot and convince Ty he intended to do it at the right spot. I don't know. Because I think we can assume that Angelo is trying to communicate the right thing, which may be difficult over webcam sometimes, and to articulate when in the process this is happening, because this is a convoluted series of triggers, and so we'll see what ends up resolving here.
So they're talking about drawing the game and going to a game 4.
Okay.
So they have reached an agreement. Angelo wasn't quite sure when to cast the Diabolic Edict.
Sure. Okay. We're going to game 4. Excellent. I am unfortunately ill prepared for a game 4 scenario, but
Yeah.
we're gonna work something up.
I think Ty may reneged on that, realizing that he has 2 necromancies in
Oh
play.
no, we can't renege on that. Yeah, he does have 2 necromancies.
But
Oh man.
Nether Spirit is now in Angelo's graveyard again.
Right. But if that's the case, then the Nether Spirit is going to stay in the graveyard, and we can't draw the game because he eventually has to choose. He can choose with both targets because they come into play at the same time, and you can choose both. You can choose the same target with both of them, which is not something I think you can normally do because it's not in play. It's in the yard because Necromancy left, so Nether Spirit should go back to the yard.
Yeah, Nether Spirit should be in the yard. Right, so Ty is sorry, chat. Being so quiet. I'm listening to them trying to work this out right now. So
Yes, no,
little strange. Probably not the best commentary. I apologize.
No, keep doing that because I'm not listening to them, and someone needs to.
Okay, yeah. So I think they're kind of negotiating. Ty at first was like, I don't know if I want to just like tell you how you're supposed to win the game, but now he's kind of helping Angelo.
Nether Spirit also leaves play because it's under the control. It is a permanent that Ty controls when the trigger is on the stack. So when it comes back into play, what happens?
It goes to the. Oh, I think it is in play for Angelo. I think that's actually correct. Because it didn't die. It wasn't in the graveyard. It came back into play.
Right. That is a good point, chat. That does make sense.
So they may be asking us. Okay, yep, they're asking us.
All right. One moment.
Yes. What's up? Yes. Well, just when are you casting the edict? Okay. Mm-hmm. Is the trigger of the dragon coming into play on the stack? Yeah, I mean that's up to you. Like we're the commentators. I don't want to like tell you how to win, so it's up for you and Ty to figure. If you did it at the right time, everything would get removed, and then Ty wouldn't have any permanents in play. The Dance of the Dead would fizzle because the Worldgorger dragon has changed zones, and so there's no legal target.
So what I believe you guys are trying to work out is in that cycle, the Worldgorger dragon is in play, and the trigger to is in play with no permanents in play. So it is going to, let's see, the graveyard, and then permanents come back into play. The enchantments trigger or need to have a target, so they come into play. You choose Worldgorger Dragon. Then Worldgorger Dragon comes back into play, which then tries to remove anything. So I don't think the edict is going to do anything to the Worldgorger Dragon. If you target yourself and put the Nether Spirit in the graveyard, then there's a legal target for the necromancies to end the combo. Cool. Yeah. Then that is a draw.
Well, I'm not sure if I understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's up to you guys. Like, if that's what he did and you want to stand by that, then all your permanents come back in. But yeah.
Oh, sure. Yes. There is still a Tormod script on the stack. That is true. So that does.
Well, the way that he originally had it was the Worldgorger Dragon gets exiled when nothing else is in play. So it goes to the graveyard. All the permanents come back, including a necromancy.
Right.
And the necromancy can target the Worldgorger Dragon again.
Right.
And there's no other legal target. So that would be a draw.
Well, that would be a draw, but I would win because I have intuition in my head, and that's just like what I'm trying to figure out how that affects everything and how I can like ethically advocate for him to do something here. Because when he first did it, I felt like it didn't do anything. I was going to win.
Yeah, I think that's up to you guys, like, to decide that.
At some point, I'm the villain. I would love to play. I just think that is the. That's not. That's not it. I feel is. For you, how. When you play the E. That is what I think at this point. It's definitely taken a journey to get there, but.
Chat, we're just trying to figure out what the next steps are going to be, because
a lot of radio sounds.
We're trying to make sure that
Yeah, no, I'm really sorry about this because this is so rough. Like,
this fucking deck.
Yeah.
So okay. So I think if can we pinpoint exactly when, or was it just the I want to play this in a way that doesn't make you win the game? Was that like
okay?
the intention?
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So back up. So let's think this through. So if I my genuine intention was to make you Edict the Dragon without another sprout on the board. Now, if I cast Edict and Dragon's on the board, right? You sack the Dragon. I still get this back, right? And then the Necromancy comes back. You loop out. You cast Intuition. Right?
Yeah.
It comes into play, and then the remove trigger is on the stack. With that in play, you Edict. It gets sacrificed. Then the remove. Let's see, the return trigger comes into play. Then it gets removed, but then it doesn't get returned by the next return trigger because it's removed from the first one.
Right. But the first time he cast it was with nothing in play except the dragon. Like that was specifically called out by him.
Yeah,
I was only kind of being nice to him at that point to tell him.
That's fine. So I lose then, right? Because you had Intuition in hand, and you're not drawing because infinite mana.
Right. Yeah.
But wait.
Maybe what I would suggest is you
with Dragon in play, all your stuff removed, then Dragon dies, all your stuff comes back.
Yeah.
And then so there's just no way around it. But okay, so help me learn. How would I have done this? When should I have cast this to win?
Like you should have cast it at this point. Once you have the Nether Sphere back, and I have all my stuff in play.
I think the problem is, like, I understand what you're saying, Ty, that the draw is not a reason. It's actually not an outcome that could happen from this. Yeah, I think you either have to walk Angelo through it, which is not an expectation even in like a friendly league, or you just go by when he said that he did it, which is when all your stuff is removed, and you just play it out from there, which is a win for you with Intuition, right?
That sounds how I feel about
Yeah, chat. So I think Ty is going to get the win here. The basic issue is that Angelo was not he didn't time it correctly, and so everything that happened after that was trying to just like negotiate what happens. We're all friends here, and so it's a situation where Ty is trying to be nice, but at the end of the day, it's like you got to make a decision. It's like if you're being nice and you walk your opponent through how you lose, it really is a difference between winning and losing. And so, um, after a lot of discussion from a couple of nice guys, they came to the conclusion that Ty should have won that game based on Angelo deciding to edict when he did at the wrong time. Yeah, yeah. It's super strange. This combo is strange. You got to get the timing right of the Worldgorger dragon. The time to get rid of the dragon is when the come into play trigger is on the stack. Because if you get rid of it, then the come into play trigger is still on the stack. But then on top of that is the leaves play trigger. So leaves play trigger resolves first. Nothing comes back into play. Then the come into play trigger, which removes everything else, resolves all of the Worldgorger dragon players' cards get exiled and they're boned.
Very complicated. If you're playing Overworld can be kind of difficult too when you're trying to stack these kind of triggers, and especially in the Worldgorger deck, you shortcut a lot of it because normally no one's interacting with you when you're performing the combo. This is just one of those weird instances where there was a lot of tricky things to do, and one thing that was pointed out in some of the player discussion as well was that there's a Tormod's Crypt trigger on the stack. So if somehow things like resolve in this weird way, then that trigger could maybe remove the graveyard, and then Ty still has to figure out what's going on, and he does have sort of the intuition maybe to kind of get there. So just kind of a weird situation. We are friends, all friends here, Ariel. That is that's how we are handling the tournament. And, normally we can resolve these things to the best of our ability. And try to kind of figure it out on stream with you guys at the same time. So, but I think our players are okay with this situation. And I think that they have sort of come to the conclusion on their own after just kind of talking it out with all of us. So appreciate you guys tuning in for that. But what a match, right? Like if you think about it, right? Just the Angelo winning game one, which seemed a little less probable, and then especially after all of the obeyances that we saw, and then Ty fighting back games 2 and games 3 to kind of get there.
Yeah, and I think Angelo did have probably the win there had he timed it correctly, because at the end of that, Worldgorger Dragon would be in the graveyard, all of Ty's permanents would be removed, and then Tormod's Crypt would resolve, and his graveyard would get removed as well. So even with a 2/2, Angelo probably wins with that, but he also had some elephant tokens. So just
right.
Unfortunate timing by Angelo. It's a learning moment, and I'm sure from now on he will choose.
Yeah, that's Angelo said, in some of that discussion, he was saying, he knew what Ty was on. Ty was on stream last week. He knew exactly what Ty was doing. It was his job to learn the combo and understand what was happening. And, I guarantee you this was a good lesson. And he probably won't see that, again and, make the same choice. So, that's what part of this is fun, right? Being exposed to some of these wacky, weird interactions that you just don't see often.
Yep. So Ty wins 2-1. Bad for me if I get paired with Ty next round. If it is, if he does, I suspect I predict that he will be 4-0.
Well, so we talked about how there's 6 rounds of this event, and there's just shy of 50 players. So there's actually a wide pool of players, as we accumulate more wins, than there have been in previous leagues. I think the last league was also 6 rounds, but it was in the 30s, in player count. So, significantly less players at those top tables as we get towards the end of our league. And you might dodge Ty, or this would jinx it, and Good luck.
But I think a good something good to come out of this is like, whether I win next week or get top 8, whether anybody gets top 8, like we're friends here. And you would never see what just happened in, most tournaments where the opponent would just say like, I'm not helping you out. Make your decision.
Right.
Do it when you're supposed to. Oh, you did it at the wrong time. Get balled.
Yeah, right.
Among friends, we're trying to help each other out. I've definitely let opponents take back moves that they made.
Sure.
I've been given that same grace. So really glad to be a part of this community and bring you all these interesting interactions of cool middle school decks.
Yeah, I mean, and our events, we're playing for glory, right? The winner does get a spot, in our invitational tournament at the end of the year. But even that tournament is for more glory. So, there are stakes, but there aren't stakes. So, we do the best that we can. We all try to have fun. And I think more or less we accomplished that tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Mission accomplished. That's put up the banner. Mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Well, with those 2 matches being in completion for the day, that's going to do it for week 3 of the Romancing the Stones middle school dance party. But we do have 3 more weeks to bring you before we have the conclusion of the top 8, which we will then show you the top 4 of that. So please tune in and, again, check out our Discord if you're not there. We have a lot of details about the league, a lot of discussion about middle school there. Our website does have a list of all of our previous events as well as our middle school deck lists from those events. All of our past stream leagues are on our YouTube channel. Last time I checked, we had over 50 videos, which just boggles my brain how we've been doing this long enough to have 50 different, middle school league videos of some sort, with a few things of vintage sprinkled in there. So lots to check out, lots still to come with this league. I'm excited. It's a good start to the year.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to seeing how the league wraps up here. And maybe I'll be able to get back on commentating before the end of it.
Well, always a pleasure to have you, Lorian. So that'll do it for the rest of the day. But we will catch you next week. Tune in.